Welcome back. Yes, that notification is in fact correct. Back from the dead, PTL after what, a 5-month step
Probably.
away? 6-month step away. It's back on your screen. The six of you, Austin, Dad, the other three people who I don't know who watch this, thank you. It is so great to be back. Stepped away. I had my daughter was born, so I had to go be a dad for I guess 6 months, and now I can be a degenerate again. Don't worry, I was still drinking and gambling during those 6 months. Just didn't have time to share that with you. But now that we're back, Joe and I are here to break down UFC 320, and I'll tell you what, I could not be more excited.
Yeah, man, I feel like we need it right now. Like right now, knock on wood, I'm running kind of a heater in the NFL and even college landscape. I'm actually profitable in college, which is usually the sport I just burn money in. UFC, we need to get back on track. It's been a tough year of betting, not a lot of advantageous prices, but I think this is about as good a card as any to get back into it.
I'm with you. Well, without further ado, can we just blow through the first fight with the real quick breakdown? We got Veronica Hardy at a minus 700 against Brogan Walker, who is not a UFC caliber fighter. She came from the Ultimate Fighter. She lost to Juliana Miller. That's about all you need to know. Veronica Hardy ain't nothing special. It's going to be slow. It's going to be boring. It's going to be ugly. But you can't parlay a minus 700 shitty women's fighter, and you can't bet a dog for no reason other than you're playing a number. For me, it's an easy pass 100% of the way.
Yeah, it's not, and it's not even a dog play because Hardy does have some skill. She's a fun fighter to watch. She's like good karate, good kicks, decent grappler. Like she's a decent fighter, but obviously she's 9-5. She's not like some world beater, but she's not a person just to like throw like change on the dog. She should win this fight. She should win it by decision, but you're not gonna get any value whatsoever. No sense to put in her parlay, so it's a pass. But it's not a dog play either.
For those of you who are new to Pound the Lines, we don't pass on fights. We make a pick for every single fight. We damn near give you a bet for every single fight. That's the one exception we're going to take this card. You probably won't hear that again for 7, 8, 10, 15 more videos. Depends how much tequila I have. We might circle back and we might hit a bet on that one. I don't know. Let's find out together. Next fight, we have Austin Vanderford, who I believe is either married to, dating, or engaged to Paige Van Sant, which tip of the cap, young man. Tip of the cap. Impressive. That's impressive work. And a guy who I really believed in, not from a standpoint of I thought he was going to be something, but I thought he might stick around the UFC for a little bit. And technically, he's still here. Ramiz Brahimi. Mr. Van Sant is a minus 300. And Ramiz with the Riz, Brahimi is a plus 2-ish, 250.
Yeah, this fight, it's going to be a good fight for however long it lasts. I definitely don't expect this thing to go the distance. I expect this thing to be a Vanderhoff doing well on the feet, somehow ending up on the ground, whether it's knocking down Brahimi's and looking for a ground and pound. But in that situation, Brahimi's is dangerous. And I don't see the minus 300 price on Vanderford. He's good, he's aggressive, and he knows what he's doing, but he's not worth the minus 300 price in this fight. I think Brahimi's, when I think an underdog can get a finish in the fight without being a complete Hail Mary, now the situation I just described lends itself to not an advantageous way to get a finish, but it's far from a Hail Mary, far from like a Justin Tafa. You hope that he lands one. I think Brahimi's can win this fight. I think the fight is a lot closer than what it is. I just learned how to do win probability conversion by hand, so you don't have to just use a calculator. Shout out to Dad. And I can pull up the win probability real quick while you talk, just using calculator. But the win probability is far greater than what these odds suggest. It's a dog play. It's too good a value not to play the dog here in this fight.
Yeah, I like Brahimi, but I mean, I've always liked him. He's a GM3 Gerald Meerschaert. He's a Paul Craig. These guys who are hittable, but not finishable in an easy way. Because if you go to the ground with them to finish them with ground and pound, you need to expose your arms. These guys have triangles. These guys have arm bars. It's not going to be a fight that you're ever excited about until you're somehow cashing that ticket, Neil Magny last week. So I'm on Brahimi, but I'm not going to get greedy and play him by sub because he did show a little bit, and I mean like Mackenzie Dern level little bit of striking improvement last time out. If this stays on the feet, Vanderford's going to kill him. But Vanderford typically is a take you down and grind you out. Again, Paige Van Sant joke's going to blow right past him type of a fighter. And I think that's a bad stylistic matchup here. I love the dog shot. I'm just going to take a little half unit sprinkle, a little bit of pizza money, and put him on Brahimi. No prop necessary. I don't need to get greedy.
Yeah, and if I like him just as much as I like the finish. Getting plus money on inside 2.5 feels like value as well. I mean, I'll be honest. It feels plus 140 feels like value. So I'll probably end up playing this 1 unit under 2.5 and a half unit on Brahami's. I sense a finish here. I think it's gonna be domination in one aspect or the other. Domination in the sense of Brahami's getting a finish, or domination where Vanderford just rolls right through the guy. But I definitely don't expect this thing to go distance.
I'm going to be honest with you. I saw that DraftKings had it at 1.5, and I didn't see that FanDuel had it at 2.5. FanDuel at 2.5 at plus 110. I like that way more than a dog shot on Brahami. Give me a full unit under two. And I'm saying, but I like it significantly more. Give me under 2.5 rounds in this fight at plus 110. I like the lack of juice in this one on a fight. Like you said, I think one guy's going to finish the other one. It's going to be sloppy, but it's going to be fun. Let's get some violence going early in the card. Next fight should bring the violence. We have Punhale Soriano, who has had a very up and down career, against Nikolai Veretennikov. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he made his debut fight against Mr. Van Sant. And the last fight, Austin Vanderford, those two fought. That was a weird one, but a fun one. It looked like a low-level Bellator fight, but it was scrambly. I liked it. Anyways, Punhale Soriano, which sounds a little dirty, is a minus 325 against Nikolai Veretennikov, coming in at plus 260.
Yeah, this fight, Soriano's one of those kind of guys you just can't trust the man. I mean, when you buy into it, so if you bought into his last performance, which was a good win, you'd be like, okay, he gets momentum. Beating Medic, yeah, granted, Medic can definitely fall victim to a KO here and there, but Medic's no joke of a fighter. You would think Soriano, okay, he's got power, he's got that aggression, he's got that just laser left hand with power. He can do something. He's got a good build for 170. But he just lets you down. He lets you down constantly. Anytime that you really buy into it, saw that last week with Jake Matthews. Anytime you really truly buy into those kind of guys, they feel like they let you down. And when Soriano is around that 300 favorite, I can't trust him. Now, he is fighting someone that I don't think is very good. I do not believe is a UFC caliber fighter. So when you have a guy that I don't trust to be a minus 300 favorite fighting a guy that I don't believe is a UFC caliber fighter, it's just too much stink for me to bet. I don't like a side here. I don't see any semblance of value, and I can't put money on Soriano again and have him let me down.
We took a few months off. I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve since I come back. So I agree with you. Soriano, he's one of those fighters. If he's ever the favorite, it's an easy fade. He's kind of like Jamie Malarkey. You love him as a dog, scares the shit out of you as a favorite. As a straight stand-up fight, Soriano is going to be far more powerful, but Veretennikov is long, and Soriano doesn't deal with length that well. He needs to be in the pocket. I do think he can get there. Look, I'm pretty sure you and I could wrestle Nikolai Veretennikov. From what I've seen, a butterfly could take this guy down. Soriano does have some decent wrestling. Now, whether or not the Hawaiian, the Polynesian wants to go that way, or if he wants to scrap like Max Holloway, I don't know. It's hard to predict method. But I do think he will, if this fight is closer than the odds suggest, and I think you and I both think the fight will be closer than the odds suggest, Soriano's going to have to mix in his wrestling. So my kind of goofy, unique bet is Soriano on Prize Picks and Sleeper over 1.5 takedowns. I love that. I think he's going to get a takedown to end round 1, a takedown to end round 2, and if it enters round 3, I think he's going to go all wrestle all day. I think he clears 1.5 easy. He might even get 4, maybe 5. So that's my real bet. That's where my money's going to go. Now, in terms of bookies, DraftKings, FanDuel, you're not playing that. Here, I like over 2.5. I think this fight's going to go the distance. I like either guy by decision if you want to get a little bit greedy. But because I'm expecting a wrestle-heavy game plan out of Soriano, I think we're going to see kind of a slow, boring fight after what I'm expecting to be probably a fun 2 minutes to start it. Soriano's struggling with some length and says, screw it. I'm just going to go take his ass down and pretty much spend the next 12 minutes of the fight there. So actual bet over 1.5 Soriano takedowns. But in terms of the fight itself and just on DraftKings FanDuel, give me fight goes the distance or over 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, you and I read the same way. It's never fun going under in a fight where some guy has power against some of the guy I really don't trust his chin and durability. It's never a fun pairing. But I had the same read as you. I had the same read of a fight goes to decision, and I like that it's an unpopular play in the fight. I like to go against what I believe to be the public perception, which would be a finish.
Fantastic. Next fight. Here we go. All right. You and I were texting about this a little bit, and you were a little surprised where I landed, and I was a little surprised where you landed. We got Sir Patrick Mix, better known as Patchy. Patchy Mix coming in at minus 310 across the board against Jakub Wicklowski. I don't know. Eat a Polish
No.
hot dog, and mid bite of your Polish hot dog, try to pronounce this name, and that's the accent you need. He is Polish, hence the hot dog joke. Jakub Wicklowski. I think there's a cut in there somewhere. He's coming in at 260. I'm excited. We haven't been back in 6 months. I'm rambling. What do you like in this one?
This is one of the most interesting fights on the card. I find it very interesting that this is an early prelim fight. I gotta think that this thing moves later in the card. It has nothing to do with gambling. If this moved to the featured prelim, that affects nothing. But I'm just shocked to see it here. Patchy Mix, not arguably the most dud performance you could possibly have in a UFC debut for a guy that had significant hype. We made a lot of money on betting Mario Batista. Don't like guys that make their UFC debut against top legit ranked UFC fighters. I think it's a tried and true way to make money. If someone's a legit ranked UFC guy, betting against them. I mean, going back to Pantoja against Manel Kape. I mean, it just works that way. So I wasn't too surprised to see him lose. I think everyone was surprised to see him just completely befuddled in the octagon, and he froze. I mean, I think he would have to admit that he froze. So you would expect him. He's still in his prime. A lot of fight experience. You'd expect him to bounce back and put forth a good performance. He's fighting a dog here, though. And in Jakub, you would assume Patchy Mix likes this matchup in the sense of he's fighting a no-namer, and he wants to show UFC fans that, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm legit. The hype was real. This and that. But fighting a no-name guy that has significant danger with submissions and 29 years old, in the prime, the dude's a champion, and you and I were going back and forth as the level of which that promotion is. I expect Jakub to look good, but I do fall in the camp of you're getting some closing line value on Patchy Mix. I got to think that this thing happened 6 months ago, and this is Patchy Mix's UFC debut, that he'd be a much bigger favorite than he is here. So I do think you're getting some value in that sense. But the price is still way too juicy for me. I got to pick a method if I'm going to do this route on Patchy Mix, and I'm going to go the submission route. It seems counterintuitive given that he's fighting a guy that's so good in submissions, but I just have an inkling that this thing's going to get to the mat and some funky positions are going to go on, and Patchy Mix is the kind of guy, the type of build that can submit even a good submission artist. So that's the route that I'm going, but I don't love the bet just because there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of ambiguity around the fight.
Well, I am far more confident in this one. Well, let me ask you 2 questions. Number 1, do you remember the name? And this will be really impressive if you remember the name, because I had to Google it. Remember the name of that random UFC debuting fighter, late notice, last second, to give Umar a little bit of a scare?
I do remember him.
Okay, you got to take a shot. There's no way you couldn't say this name if you were looking at.
Not the short notice guy, but it was. I mean, Sergey Morozov.
Okay, not him. No, I'm talking about Bekzat Almakhan.
Yeah.
So he gave
Umar.
Gave Umar a little bit more of a fight, but Umar eventually figured his shit out and did what he had to do. Secondly, what's your favorite NFL gambling angle this year?
Oh, and you bet the team off embarrassment, and it hits. The thing hits.
Patchy got embarrassed last time out. That is my first, and it's a little narrative-y, but it's been working in the NFL, and that's what I see here. And you mentioned that if it wasn't for that last fight, he'd be north of 500 in this one here. This fight wouldn't have even been put together, but if it was, he'd be north of 500. I think even though he's a 300 favorite, that we're getting good odds on him here because of the overreaction, how listless he looked in that first fight. I do think that Jakub is going to make a good account of himself, especially early. And there might be a situation where Patchy's in a submission that he has to fight off. I have no doubt that he'll be able to. The last benefit or positive thing I'll say about Jakub is he's going to match Patchy's size, which not a lot of guys can do. He's actually a little bit longer than Patchy. He's got an 1.5 inches on reach on him, even though he's an inch shorter. So that's an interesting angle that Patchy's going to have to deal with, something that's not typical for him. That being said, striker versus striker, Jakub is hittable. He's been touched up and finished in KSW, which is a fine promotion, Bellator level at best, PFL level probably more accurate, Cage Warriors. Patchy can touch him. Jakub is also going to play his submissions. That's what's got him to this show. That's what got him to this opportunity. He is going to try and submit Patchy. which means the wrestling is going to be there for Patchy because Jakob has no problem going to the ground. And I think, and you agree, Patchy's best attribute is his offensive wrestling and grappling. He's a little Michael Chiesa. He's not great defensively, but if he's the one in control at his pace, he can look very good. I love Patchy in this fight. I like him in a parlay with a guy we're going to say later, but I'm also with you. I like him inside the distance because I think Jakob, after down a round or two, is going to go for something. I think this guy's going to try to make a name for himself. He's a champion coming over. What bigger or better opportunity could he possibly want than a Patchy mixed name in your debut? I like Patchy inside the distance at plus 130. I think you could finish him on the feet. I think you could follow him to the mat, but I think Patchy goes home without the judges needing to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, you make a strong argument. I mean, you bring up the Umar fight. That sort of brings back the Diego Lopez against Evloev. Lopez was an unknown, and really reminds me of Jordan Vucenic against Chimaev's guy.
Garam?
Yeah, Garam. Vucenic looked incredible in the fight. He lost the fight by the judges' scorecard, but he really won the fight in the eyes of the fans. I think that could be how this goes. Like, that's three really good examples of not saying Patchy's that level of UFC guy. Three really good examples. That's why I'm leaning the Patchy side, but I do like the inside distance as a whole at plus 130. It feels like decent value.
All right, next fight, we got I'm ready to blow through this one fairly quickly. Macy Chassion, if you ever want to know what a Subaru driver looks like, Macy Chassion. All right, I got one more for you. If you ever want to see the clientele at the original Starbucks in Seattle, Macy Chassion. Versus Yana Santos. Yana Santos is married to Thiago Santos, who I still believe if he didn't get hurt, there could have been some fun there. But anyways, Miss Subaru, Macy Chassion, is coming in at a minus 200, and Miss Yana Santos is coming in at a plus 170. Stat-wise, both of these girls are eerily similar, and so Yanni the Greek's going to really struggle with this one.
Yeah, I mean, Macy Chassin, she should be the taller fighter, and she's a girl, when she can physically impose her will, whether it's through height, distance, or just strength against the cage, she does well. She's a very boring fighter, but she does well. Yana Santos is kind of the same. She's a little more skillful, per se, in the striking realm, but she likes, too, to sort of impose her stature, even though she's not the tallest girl. It seems like she implements her size a little better than Chassin, but Chassin should be the bigger girl here, and I got to think she's going to be the stronger one as well. I do like her by decision.
Who?
Chassin, Macy Chassin.
Okay.
I think she's going to be the one pushing Yana Santos against the cage. I don't like betting the girl that I think is potentially lower overall skill, particularly at the favorite, but I think she's going to be able to physically impose her will to an effective level. So I do like her by decision. I'm also seeing over 2.5 at minus 240. If there are parlay bettors out there, I don't mind that. I mean, I really, really feel like, I think the conversion probability of that is like around the 68%. I think it's more likely than not than it goes to decision. So if you're throwing stuff into a parlay and you're looking for like a decent minus 240 in a parlay can negate a lot of pricing. I like the over 2.5 in a parlay. If it's a single play, I like chasing by decision.
That's some high level bullshit right there. I like that. That being said, I like Yana Santos in this one. Well, let me be clear. I don't like Yana Santos ever. I think Yana Santos can win this fight. I personally capped this fight at Chassion minus 120, 130. So for her to be 200, I think is just wrong. I think this fight is 100% going to take place against the cage in the clinch, and it's going to be a lot of pirouetting against the cage. One girl's going to have position for a minute and a half. One girl's going to have a position for a minute and a half, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The only thing that I like is I like Yana Santos' pressure and cardio better than Chassion. I've seen Chassion get a little bit tired and a little bit slower later in fights, where I think Santos can kind of keep she's not going 100 miles an hour, maybe 45 miles an hour for 3 rounds, where Chassion goes 45 and then down to 35. Split decision, if you like long shots, that's not a bad idea here either. But I'm on Yana Santos just because I like the cardio in round 3 to win what I'm expecting to be a very close and very dull clinch-heavy fight.
I kind of like the split decision play. What's it, like plus 500, 600?
Tell you what, I'll take a look-ski here. I don't know if it's available yet, but our next fight has 2 guys. Fight to end by split, only plus 350.
That just show. I will say that does lend itself into your favor of just going the dog route when it's plus 350 only. I'll be over 2.5. That's the move.
Yeah, that's probably the smarter bet.
That's the move.
All right, the next fight I'm very excited for. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of UFC fans, maybe some hardcores, maybe some handicappers, some degenerates, who are as excited as I am for both of these guys. I think both of these guys are going to be 15 to 20 for most of their career.
They're good.
And I like them a ton. We have Daniel Wiley Cat. Didn't even have to Google the nickname. I just know it. 6 months off, no fucking rust over here. Daniel Wiley Cat Santos dropping a little bit at a minus 155 against Joe Sang Yo at a plus 137-ish, 135.
First of all, I'm going to say one thing I want to pass to you because I think I know who you're on, and I'm going to convince you otherwise with one of my notes. So a little mind games here. I will say just my first take is this fight feels like it should be more close to a pick'em than the minus 150 price. I think you and I are going to be on different sides, but overall, I think this thing should be like a minus 120, minus 110 type of fight. So I'll let you go because I think I'm going to convince you with one of my notes on here.
Does one of your notes have to deal with one of my favorite fighters?
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
You looked at the notes.
Yeah, I looked at our notes. Yeah, I completely agree with it. I think it's a great comp. So one of my favorite fighters is the flyweight Bruno Silva. This guy is a wild man. He's just in there to create violence and chaos, and he's got power and submissions to do it. But when he fights someone who's got some technique, Bruno Silva's not at that level. He's not good enough, although he's incredibly fun and dangerous at all moments. We talked about it several times on the video here. Cashed a huge ticket while we were in Vegas. Bruno Silva by submission. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
That is really how Daniel Santos fights. He is 100 miles an hour, and up until this point, he has shown an ability to kind of keep that crazy man pace for 3 rounds, which I do think is one difference between the two is the weight class. You can fight like that at 125 and be a little bit safer than you can at this weight class. However, Daniel Santos, hasn't gassed out yet. So for me to predict him gassing out is just unfair to him. This is not a fade of Daniel Santos at all. I'm probably one of the biggest fans who doesn't have a Hispanic last name of Daniel Santos. This is a fight. This is a bet on the stylistic matchup. Park got a 30-second knockout in his debut. Nothing really to get from that. Nothing really to glean. He fought a can. He kicked the can's ass. Not much there. The reason I like Park, see my insides, my instincts tell me to go with my boy, is that Daniel Santos is wild and wide. Everything he does, he comes at you from a wide angle, wide hooks and wide kicks. I like Park. It's kind of similar to Siwoo Choi back in the day. I like his straight down the middle action. I like his leg kicks. I like his 1-2 punches. I like the power he possesses with a very compact and technical style. I think this fight is probably going to be up there for fight of the night. I think if neither guy gets finished, which both guys have great power, but both guys have great chins, this could be just a back and forth fun brawl because that's what Daniel Santos does, and Park is ready to swing and bang. But I like the more technical, tighter kickboxer in this type of a fight. So I initially was all hot and bothered, ready to go multiple units on Park here, or Joe, or Sang, or Yo, or whatever his name is. Not racist, I promise. I'm just a little drunk. I've slowed down. I've touched back here. I was ready to go multiple units because I thought the wrong guy was favored. But the further I've looked into it, I agree that Santos should be favored. Joe Sang Yo is a plus 140. I would just personally play X to win 2. So whatever number you get, I'd risk whatever it takes to win 2 units. I think he's got more power and more technique, and Santos has to win with chaos.
Yeah, and I knew you'd be on that side. I didn't realize you had the Bruno. I was going to bring up the Bruno Silva thing with Daniel Santos as a comp. Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel Santos should be like a minus 130, and I think Yo or Joe or whatever, he should be a plus 110. So the odds in my eyes aren't that off. It kind of just lends itself in 2025. Just Vegas is aggressively pricing fights, in my opinion, making it hard to have confident, intelligent bets out there instead of just betting every single play. But I do like Daniel Santos here in this fight. I typically I like to trust what I know, and my notes outside of being defensively flawed, which is concerning in the stylistic matchup here in this fight, fighting a guy that has power and knows how to land precise shots. I like everything about Daniel Santos besides that. And I or Joe, whatever, I need to see a little more. I mean, it's a good matchup for him to win the fighting someone that's wild, but it's not a great matchup for us to see like the type of fighter potentially, unless he goes out there and shows other skills. Can he put Santos on his back foot? Can he wrestle Santos? Can he show or can he defend takedowns? I'd like to see a little something more than just slow-footed landing straight down the barrel action. That's just my own personal preference. I mean, you go out there and win the fight however you so choose. But I really do think Santos will get this thing done. I think he's going to be able to push the pace, put the pressure on, and put Joe in an uncomfortable, non sort of slow pace position. And when that pace starts to ramp up, I think Santos's sort of skill set is going to just greatly expand here in this fight. So I do like Santos. I'll be a little worried early in the fight. He's probably going to have to eat a clean shot or two. But I believe he's young enough. He's durable. He can get through a shot. And as he gets through the shot, I expect him just to do better and better as the fight goes on. So I really do like Santos here in this fight, unlike you.
Last two things, quick ones, and this is fight of the night caliber fight, so we're spending a little more time on it. Daniel Santos did beat 2 fights ago a guy who's actually kind of similar to Joe Sang Yo in Sexy Mexi, John Castaneda. Southpaw, very slick, tight, technical boxer. A little bit more wild than Joe is, but that lends itself to what you're saying here, that the wild pressure fighter has the advantage in that type of stylistic fight. But see if I can get you on the Joe Sang Yo side. Do you know what his nickname is?
I don't know. I don't know.
So, he's Korean. His nickname is Zombie Jr.
Yeah, see, that makes me even more off him. The amount of times I'm watching these guys saying that they follow the Korean zombie footsteps. I just watched a Dana White Contender Series a few weeks ago. At least this guy trains with a Korean zombie. And that guy was horrible in Dana White Contender Series. I'll be honest with you, it kind of gets me off him even more. And if Santos shows a blonde to this fight, that's a good 2 to 3 unit play on him. Those blonde Brazilians don't lose.
I mean, yeah, fighting nerds cooled off, but the blonde Zillions, they're not cooling off. All right, that's going to be a fun one. That's one you don't want to miss. Daniel Santos, Joe Sang Yo. We gave him 15 different names, but it is Joe Sang Yo more likely than that. I think I got it right. All right, next fight. The epitome of should win. The guy has said he should win damn near every single fight he's had in the UFC, but there are moments and there are fights where Farid Basharat has looked dull, has looked lethargic, has looked disappointing, and he's fighting a guy who, if you're not on, can still go out there and whoop some ass in Chris Gutierrez. But Farid Basharat is a minus 475 for a reason, because this is a very good stylistic matchup for him. As long as he doesn't shit the bed, this is his fight to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Chris Gutierrez fan. I mean, the dude's got insane calf kicks. But this is a bad stylistic matchup for him. Farid Basharat, I've said even before Javid Basharat's kind of shit the bed and people are all over Javid. I like Farid's style a lot more. He's a younger brother. He goes out there and wrestles. Javid likes to play the point fighting game. He likes to show that he's a mixed martial artist. Farid just goes out there and tries to wrestle you. This fight is I think you're going to have a decent gauge in the first 2.5 minutes. I expect Gutierrez to stuff the takedown. Can he stuff that second attempt? If he can stuff that second attempt and he can keep this thing standing, he's going to hurt Farid Basharat. He's going to kick the crap out of his calf, and he's going to make Farid tired, panic, and shoot sloppy takedowns. But if Farid can get that second takedown and he can start to wear on top against Gutierrez and control him, I expect him to do really well in the first 2 rounds. I expect him to lose round 3 no matter what. I don't trust Farid's cardio. I just don't like his striking here in this fight. But it's tough when Gutierrez's really only weapon on the feet is that calf kick. I say only. I mean, obviously you can do anything that you want. But for the most part, it's really only. So if he's down 2 rounds, I don't think he can get a finish. And I think you're going to watch that fight, and a lot of us are going to watch the fight and man, damn, if Gutierrez had one more round, or damn, Gutierrez landed some damage, but Farid just had 3.5 minutes of control time in the first two rounds. It's going to be an annoying fight. When it's an annoying fight, I don't want to lay 475 on a fighter. It's a sprinkle on the dog, hoping that Gutierrez can stop that second attempt takedown. And the bet is that the judges will reward damage over control. I do not expect Farid to do any semblance of damage. So it's a sprinkle on the dog in just hoping the judges reward damage. But it's not a great bet, in my opinion.
So I like Again, my real money is going on because Prize Picks and Sleeper, you got a parlay. My real money is going on over Farid's takedowns, along with over whoever I said earlier.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
the 1.5 takedowns of
over Soriano's takedowns. So that's my real money. That's where I'm going to bet is over Farid's takedowns parlayed with over Soriano's takedowns. My sneaky little play here, because I don't think I initially was on Gutierrez. I initially thought the line was way wide. I refused to parlay a Basharat. It's just not. You're never going to feel good about it. It's like if you drive through McDonald's, no matter what happens later, you're not going to feel good. I like a plus 500 play here. I like Farid by submission. I think that Chris Gutierrez is willing to try and explode when he's taken down, to try to explode because he's very athletic and his legs are fucking insane. He can see him trying to explode to his feet, and getting submissions at the UFC level in the men's division really takes someone either making a mistake or someone taking a risk. Fighters are too skilled now to really, unless you're like Charles Oliveira, to really have somebody implement a submission on them. They have to capitalize on an opportunity. I don't think Gutierrez will make a mistake, but I could see him trying to take a risk and explode to his feet to try to win the fight. And in that situation, I like Farid's opportunity to transition to the back, to transition, to grab a neck, to do something that is an opportunistic submission. So at plus 500, I don't mind a small play. It's not going to make our official bet slip, but that's how I'm going to play every fight because I'm a degenerate, drinking tequila on a Wednesday, Thursday night, whatever the fuck time it is. I'm going to play every fight. That's how I'm playing it at plus 500.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to fight you on. I get the rationale, but yeah, this fight just stinks from a mile away to me, and I don't.
Well, because Basharat's involved in it.
I like Farid. I will say I hate Javid Basharat. I don't mind Farid Basharat. I got to see a little something more than just shooting it for takedowns.
No. All right, next fight, we got the golden boy, Ronda Rousey's kid. Not legitimately kid, but like he trained with Ronda Rousey while he was a kid. Edmund Shabazian growing as a favorite. Ooh, Edmund was sitting around a minus 270, 280. He's now a minus 310 across the board against Adrian Muniz at a plus 260 here.
Real quick, I just had to check my 49er. I had to play Kendrick Bourne 35-yard catch over his prop total. Let's go. Edmund Shabazian, I'll be honest with you, I feel like he's made me a lot of money.
He's your GM3. You see the matrix with Shabazian.
I feel like he's made me a lot of money. So I'm a Shabazian guy in that regard. And Muniz, by golly, he doesn't seem to do just fight well, but I love him here. I really like him here. I think striking wise, he's a lot more disciplined than Shabazian. And grappling, I think Muniz can take Shabazian. I think he's going to be the one get in the takedown, and I'm not worried about Shabazian submitting Muniz off his back. I do think whoever really ends up on top will probably get a submission. But I really don't mind Muniz here at all. I think he's the more disciplined striker. I think he will do a better job of sort of pacing out the fight. And I think he's going to start opening it up as the fight ensues. So I'm on the Muniz side at dog money.
I mean, to your credit, in the UFC, Edmund Shabazian is 8-5. Nobody at 8-5 should be a minus 300 favorite. That being said, could not disagree with you more. I think Andre Muniz is about as over the hill as anybody can get. He looks like Benel Dariush, which is not a good thing. Benny Dariush at least fights well-ish. Muniz, and he's looked bad for a few fights, and Ikram Aliskerov, I think, murdered him last time. I mean, it was bad. So I like Shabazian by KO in round 1 because by KO is a minus 175, which is a ridiculous number. By KO in round 1 is at least plus 200. You can't force me to bet it. I'm not excited to bet it, but I do think that this fight is going to end quick. So my safe play is a very simple under 1.5, or if you're on FanDuel, Shabazian in rounds 1 or round 2, because I do think he's the one who's going to get the finish. I don't think Muniz has the finishing ability on Shabazian. But if I want plus money, I'm going to play Shabazian in round 1 KO. Safe money, Shabazian in rounds 1 or round 2. I think he gets this done and gets this done pretty quickly here. Not because he's good, but because Muniz's chin is that gone.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fight you on it. I gotta just sort of defend. He should not be a 300 favorite over damn near about anyone. I think he gets a lot of respect for his early days in the UFC for sort of the hype train, and for some reason the hype train has persisted. Not sure why. And I do agree. Like he's a lot more wild than Muniz. And Muniz, his patience will lend itself to Shabazi and having confidence early, which could translate over into that KO in round 1. So, I mean, yeah, if I had to play the Shabazian side, I agree with that. I just think that you're getting pretty good value on the dog here against someone that's very unreliable.
All right, next fight. I'll let you break it down because it shouldn't take very long. We have a beast of a human from Cameroon. If that sounds familiar, yes, Francis Ngannou is from Cameroon. And yes, this man looks like a little miniaturized Francis Ngannou. Holy shit. Abaga or Abeta, I believe it's Gautier. I believe it's Gautier, like gout, like you get if you have diabetes of the foot, or like Gautier, the artist, the music artist. I believe it's Gautier against a late replacement fighter. I mean, Gautier was a minus 1,000 against Ozzy Diaz, and now some poor schlup coming in for $15,000 to get CTE. Treston Vines is coming in at plus 800.
Well,
Gautier is a minus 1,400, by the way.
Gautier, I just have to say some of the notes. That's why you got to watch Tuesday night's Dana White Contender Series. The man was once stabbed 3 times with a screwdriver in Cameroon. Him and his 7 brothers had to rotate standby on his house so it doesn't get robbed. That's his backstory. I don't think he's afraid to step in an octagon. The thing that I do like, he's trained with Lerone Murphy, and a lot of these guys, they all have good camps. But I like the training with Lerone Murphy because the one concern you have, the guy that's coming out of Africa, you saw it last week on Dana White Contender Series, is the wrestling. And Lerone Murphy was a guy, striker, that has developed along his wrestling. So I like the camp that he's in to develop what is inevitably his weakness, because his striking is just impressive as hell. The dude lands, and I think the entire arena can hear like they're sitting in front row. I mean, it is very impressive. So it's Gautier by KO here. His striking is what you would expect from a guy from where he comes from and the price that he is. You would expect a KO here. Let's just say that.
Well, it'll be minus 500, but if you want to get cute, because you can parlay props, you parlay him with maybe the over in the
240 fight.
Yeah, and the over in the
Chasian and Santos.
Yeah, that Chasian and Santos fight, because I mean that'll get you
back where I was going.
Minus 200, minus 190-ish, maybe minus 180, somewhere like around there.
Yeah, like 170.
Well, his KO prop isn't out. His KO prop might be minus 4,000. Maybe his KO prop's bigger than his money line. You don't know.
You got to think his KO prop would be like minus 450, parlay with the minus 240. You probably should get that around like 170.
Yeah, and if you're gonna parlay one prop, I personally like parlaying props together. So that way, a prop, which inherently is a harder bet to hit, doesn't screw over a money line that you have slightly more confidence in. That gets into high level analytics and math and stuff that I don't understand. I just drink while Joe talks and nerds out. But that's how I would do it too. Gautier KO parlayed with another prop. All right, next fight. I think this is officially the worst nickname in the UFC. Joe Body Bags Pyfer. It's not a great nickname to begin with. It's a little WWE. But on top of that, how is B not your nickname at this point? B Joe Pyfer. Dana White crowned you. The man, the myth, the bald-headed legend crowned you with a nickname, and you went, nah, I'm going to go with Undertaker, Kane, and Body Bags over here. The fuck are you doing, Joe Pyfer? You had an opportunity, and you squandered it. That being said, I kind of like you in this spot here to minus 255 against Abus Magomedov.
Also, Body Bags.
With a Z.
It's with a Z. Even worse.
Yeah.
I will say, this is the last fight I think the UFC should give Joe Pyfer to maintain the hype train. It's very annoying when these guys go out there with the massive backing from the UFC and have a dud performance and just sort of go back to the I was good, I'll come back, I'll do this, I'll do that. You're in your young part of your career. You should not have the leash to have a dud performance and still have the trust of UFC. It's kind of frustrating. And this fight, they're giving him an opportunity for violence. A boost, not afraid of anyone to strike with anyone. The dude's got power. I think people forget what he did to Strickland in the first round of Strickland before he gassed out. Abus has power. Because Abus has power, because Piper is certainly has to be looking for a finish to maintain the hype, I like Piper by submission. I think his camp definitely lends itself to the grappling round. He trains with Sean Brady. I think his camp obviously has good grappling. So does Piper, sneakily. And I think they're very intelligent with how they fight. I think they're going to implement a game plan that's going to be, look, Piper, I know you're a wild man. I know you want to get that KO, get that head off. A boost is dangerous. Early. Grapple early. When you grapple early, you're dry. I think Piper is a lot better. I think he'll see that he is levels ahead on the mat than it is against a boost. And I really like him by submission here for the price that you're going to be getting.
You're going to get plus 550. I could be talked into that. Absolutely. I like zigging when everyone zags. That was a Z joke for body bags.
I got it.
Appreciate it. Pick it up when I'm putting down, making sure you're not rusty. I love Joe Piper in this spot. Minus 255 is calling my name for a parlay piece here. My parlay anchor's coming in a minute. I love him in this spot. But a big part of that is that I do expect him to implement wrestling. Because Piper is not going to have the physical advantage he's used to having. A boost is going to match him physically, which is going to be a little bit different for Piper. Now, the knife cuts both ways. A boost won't have the physical advantage he's used to having either. So people who say he's going to struggle with size, both guys will. If this is a straight stand and bang, swing and bang, point to the middle and see what happens type of a fight, I like Piper in that one still. I think he's got the better chin, and I think he's got a little bit more power. But you get a lot more scared when you watch that fight because it's 4-ounce gloves. So I do expect Piper to work in some wrestling here. So I could be talked into a submission play. But for me, Piper is a parlay piece. I think he's a slight step ahead on the feet with power, with durability. And I think he's significantly ahead with wrestling and grappling. I think the 250 price is fair. I'm not saying he's a lock. I'm not saying he should be 400 or 500. I just think that it's an appropriate price for a guy who has more methods of victory than a boost. The only thing I'll say, I've heard a couple of guys bring up Piper's cardio. I'm not worried about it. It's not something that I think a boost can take advantage of. If Piper fights Strickland for 5 rounds and Strickland's on his game, sure, maybe. That could be something that shows up here. But a boost is not a guy that's going to push Piper to a point where cardio becomes a problem.
Yeah. And then it's cardio concerns can be on the boost camp. I definitely think it's a good price on Piper, but I'm holding steady with the submission price.
All right. Well, chugga shoot. Here comes the anchor. I don't know why I did a train noise for an anchor, but you get the gist here. Marav Duawashvili at a minus 400.
Whoa! You're skipping up two fights there, Tequila.
Oh, I got a little excited. I scrolled too far in FightOdds.io. We need a sponsor. I got a little excited. I had a little bit of tequila. Woo-hoo. Here we go. All right. Never mind. Let's tap the brakes here. Rewind. If we paid any kind of money for any kind of editing software, we just cut that out. But we don't do that here. Instead, we have Youssef Zalal at a minus 525. Oh, how the turned tables in his career. It's unbelievable what he has turned his career into after being cut from the UFC against your favorite grandpa, Josh Emmett at plus 410.
Yeah, I mean, Zalal, the last 2 performances, wow. Going out there and just wiping the floor with Jack Shore and really showing Jack Shore lacks athleticism, and you need athleticism to fight. We learned that in that fight. And then going out there against Calvin Kattar, where I know we were on the Kattar side, and Zalal looked good. Zalal, I feel like when he before he got cut, he was almost a point, just a point fighter. There's a French guy that I'm thinking of that's almost
Fabrice Ziam.
Fabrice Ziam.
I got you.
Point fighter that struggles grappling. Ziam's not too bad defensive grappling, but Zalal wasn't great. Zalal came back, and now he can wrestle really well. The cardio's there. The point fighting's still there. He's a really talented fighter. I'm curious where you're at. I have a hard time looking at Josh Emmett and that price and not wanting to throw a little bit of money on it. Josh Emmett, I know he's borderline geriatric, but by golly, can he hit hard? And it's hard for me not to do it. Now, I should learn my lesson. Lerone Murphy's a pretty good archetype for Zalal and a pretty good here's how you get an A on the test sort of format to give Zalal. But you see that price on Josh Emmett, and it just tickles in all the right places. It just tingles. But I'm very curious to see where you're at because I know Emmett's not the right play, but man, when something's just tingling, it's hard to ignore.
I called Neil Magny last week. I'm not going in with the confidence. We called Neil Magny last
Thank
week.
you.
Excuse me. I'm not going in with that level of confidence, but I'm 100%. If I'm betting this fight, it's not going to make our official slip. Just personally, I'm betting Josh Emmett. And the reason for it is a couple. There are a couple. First and foremost, it's the same argument that I made with Ramiz Brahimi against Austin Vanderford. The price is wrong. The guy has a path to victory. Brahimi's is the sub in a fight that I think will touch the mat. This one is Josh Emmett. The fight's going to primarily take place on the feet. So I do expect Emmett to have a puncher's chance in the most classic of terms. Number two, the stupid-ass stat that the UFC loves to show that fighters 6 years or younger tend to win like a 68% clip. I swear to you, they're like 2-11 in the last 14 fights or some shit. You know how I know? Because I keep betting the younger fucking fighter. But thirdly, the truth of this is I've never really believed in Zalal. And maybe it's a problem with his first impression in the UFC of just underwhelming me. And I haven't personally been able to shake that first impression. But I still see the guy who doesn't go out there and dominates in a way that I think is sustainable. I think he dominates in a way that is intelligent. He can dominate by exposing a weakness in his opponent. And while Josh Emmett has plenty of weaknesses, so does Zalal. And Zalal is not Lerone Murphy, which is my fourth and final point. I think Lerone Murphy's striking is special. We've said it for a while. You see this guy in the gym on the heavy bag, you think he can never lose a fight in his life. I don't think Zalal is that. I think he's a junior or a light version or a diet version, but I don't think a diet version can go in there and kick Josh Emmett's ass the way Lerone Murphy did. So, given that I've never been that high on Zalal, and I don't think he can emulate Lerone Murphy's game plan to the level that Lerone Murphy did it, I think 575 is ridiculous. You put Zalal at 300, fine. It's a different conversation. But if you're giving me 4-1 on my money on Josh Emmett, just like with Brahimi, I'm not going to get cute and play the KO, although that's probably his best and only method to victory. I'll take 4-1 on my money here on Josh Emmett, play quarter to a half a unit, get a little bit back here. I think there are going to be moments where you're going to be holding an Emmett ticket, clutching it because you have a chance, and you see something, and it's going to come down to whether Zalal can either make an adjustment or keep his chin tucked. You're going to have a shot or two.
I agree.
All right, so we're not going to Marab next. We're going to read the things in order. In order. Reading is a skill. I teach that skill. All right, next fight, we have the guy I don't think he's ever made my top 15 favorite fighters, but he ought to. I fucking love the samurai. Yuri Prochazka coming in at a minus 192. He's growing a little bit. The ponytail gets longer and the odds get bigger against Khalil Roundtree at a plus 160. Weird thing for me, I've gotten Khalil Roundtree and Kevin Lee mixed up in my head for years, and I don't know why.
Don't know why either. Some guys, I feel like you got a good read on Yuri Prochazka. I have gotten wrong every single fight. I can't get a read on this guy. Now, granted, I'm gonna make an excuse. I don't think the dude's the craziest dude in the world. He swam under ice knowing he could have died. He's like, why'd you do it? He's like, I don't know. I guess I could have died. He runs. He clips his nose, covers his mouth, and he runs sprints. The dude's nuts. The dude's a nutbag. So the fact that I can't get a read on him, you know what? Hand up. I can't get a read on him. So I should not be the one breaking this down first. I'll let you go because I don't want to sway your sort of read on it because whatever read I have is going to be inevitably the wrong one.
So while you never get a read on Yuri, I am definitely biased toward Yuri in every single one of his fights because his offense is so unbelievably good. Yes, we're from Wisconsin. No, we're not Packer fans. But back in the day, like 7-8 years ago, Aaron Rodgers' offense with a shitty-ass Green Bay defense is kind of how I see Yuri Prochazka. They made a huge playoff run. That might even been their Super Bowl run. I don't remember. His offense, to me, is so unique yet so violent that I don't think anyone in the division can comfortably deal with it. But my goodness, is his defense just a gaping hole of problems. I mean, I'm talking like you went to a bar, you got a little bit drunk, you did some things you shouldn't have done, gaping whole set of problems. That being said, I've never really believed in this Khalil Roundtree resurgence. I think he's a little bit slow. Now, not hand speed, not hand speed. His strikes are fast, but footwork. I think his footwork is a little bit slow. I think he's a little bit reactive, where he kind of looks to counter shots, which in this division specifically is not the best choice with AP, with Ankalaev, with Yuri. And I do think that Khalil Roundtree tends to fold right when everyone gets excited. So there's not a real technical handicap to why I like Yuri outside of, I think, his offense, the speed and the awkwardness, the dominant cruise, weird movement can cause a slightly more flat-footed Khalil Roundtree some issues. But the bottom line, both guys have stupid high power. Both guys are very hittable, and both guys can be finished. If anyone gives you a confident pick on this fight, they're full of dog shit. They're selling you beans, because it's going to be whichever guy lands the right shot at the right time. I tend to lean on Yuri because he's probably going to have 1.5 times more output than Khalil Roundtree, so I have statistically a higher chance of landing. And I like Yuri's weirdness to create openings against Roundtree's more technical Muay Thai striking. But
Yeah,
I can't parlay him, so it's a Yuri by finish, if anything.
Yeah, I am on the same side. I mean, I like Roundtree. I like the power. I love the kicks. He's got some great kicks to all levels. I really like his game. But I think the speed is on Yuri's side with the movement, like you're referencing. I think he's going to throw a lot of awkward, weird angles Roundtree's way and land early. It may not be the biggest fight-ending shot early, but I think he'll start landing. And people will reference the Pereira fight against Roundtree where the dude just took a beating and didn't go down. I'm gonna reference that and say that's a lot of damage to be wearing. Yeah. He's not young by any means. Now, granted, he's not on the tail end of his career from an age perspective, but that's a lot of damage to wear. And Yuri's got some significant power, so I do see it the same way you see it here. Yuri by finish is probably the avenue that I'd go.
All right, next fight. Now is my parlay anchor. We got Merab Dvalishvili against Corey Sandhagen. Merab's a minus 400. Corey Sandhagen's a plus 300. Before we break it down, and it's clear which way I'm going, Corey Sandhagen is going to be the Dan Marino of his generation. One of the greatest bantamweights of all time to never hold the belt. That's my expectation for Sandhagen. He fights in a different generation, 5 years older, 5 years later, and I think this guy would hold the belt for a while. He is the completest fighter, the most complete fighter in the bantamweight division. The guy is unbelievably special. It's just a bad time to be a bantamweight.
I agree with you full-heartedly. I love Corey Sandhagen. He does not deserve he deserves so much more respect, so much more admiration from the fans than what he gets. He might be our best American fighter. I mean, it might be him. I mean, John Jones, who the hell knows what he's doing? But Sandhagen might be exactly. He's that good. The dude's so intelligent, and he's going out there. He's referencing the Umar fight a lot, where he's saying he was being very defensive in the takedown. He said he's not going to be defensive here. He's going to put the fight towards Merab. He has the skills to get to put the pace and pressure on him. Sandhagen's got incredible cardio. He's not going to gas. He's got incredibly funky striking. He's incredibly intelligent. Merab is just the machine. And Sandhagen, albeit he may fight differently, he's been taken down. And Merab will win the scramble. He'll be stronger. And he's going to get Sandhagen down. And I think he's going to keep him down. Sandhagen thinks he can get back up against anyone. I think Merab's a little bit of a different cat. I'm not betting against the machine. I mean, it's plain as simple as that. Absolutely love Sandhagen. And it sucks that he has to go against Merab. But Merab's the GOAT of the bantamweight division, and he's not slowing down anytime soon.
Ever. The one thing I'll say, just because you mentioned, and I've heard other people mention, that Sandhagen mentioned that he can get up. So you're going to go back down. Merab is one of the only wrestlers that we've ever seen that it doesn't matter. In fact, it's probably worse if you get back up, because it's going to be so effortful that he's going to get you back down again. I really don't see, outside of a kill shot, Lerone Murphy, or not Lerone Murphy, who headshotted Usman?
Edwards.
Leon Edwards. Outside of a Leon Edwards headshot type of a strike or a flying knee, Jorge Masvidal, Ben Askren, I don't see a way that Sandhagen wins this fight. Love Merab. 400 is a parlayable piece. I put Merab with Joe Pyfer, and I put Merab with Patchy Mix. 1.5 to 2 units a pop. Easy, easy, easy. I'm willing to talk whether we're going to put Pyfer and Patchy individually with their methods as well. But to me, those three, are parlay pieces. And Merab is your anchor. And we always talk about anchors coming late. So in case you have a stupid amount of money, which good for you, by the way, big fan of that, you could always put a little sprinkle on Sandhagen, who's going to close at plus 350. Just to hedge out of it if you want to be a little bit scared, but you shouldn't be. Merab's going to get another notch on his belt.
I agree.
Main event time. We were in Vegas for this one. You had Ankh the first time, not Ankh, against Alex Poatan Pereira. Oh, I practiced that because John Anik makes a big fucking deal about it. I practiced it pre-tequila. Should have practiced it post-tequila. Practice like you play, kids. Drink tequila when you're going to practice. That way you play with tequila. You know what to do. Magomed Ankalaev minus 260 against Alex Pereira minus 222 or plus 222. What do you got?
What I got is I took the Rams plus 10.5 first half live while you were talking. But here in this fight, the odds, I'm finally happy that the odds are accurately reflective of Ankalaev's skill. The dude is really talented. And I don't quite buy into the narrative that the Pereira camp is pushing out, that he was 40% going into the fight his last time out, shouldn't have fought. I don't buy it. If every fighter that lost had was at the level at which that they say they were, boy, oh boy, would we see higher quality fights, because the next time out, everyone would be looking like Megatron in the octagon. And sometimes Pereira does look like that. But I don't quite buy into that narrative. However, I can't ignore the price. The price feels very good. The takedown defense that Pereira had in the first fight, like to see that. Because he was able to keep the fight standing, and because Pereira has the power which he has, the odds for which you're getting him at, very, very, very good. I was on the Ankalaev side, and I think Ankalaev won that fight convincingly. Not saying he just ran through Pereira, but it wasn't like Pereira, the different judges, Pereira could have won that fight. It wasn't like that. Ankalaev won that fight. The odds are very good in the Pereira favor. So I gotta think it's a 1-minute play on him. And you just know the crowd's behind him. I like betting guys. You're getting me 2-1 of my money on a guy that I think can win, and I know the entire fan base is just going to be on his side. It's just a little extra, little cherry on top that I like. But I was on the Ankalaev side the first fight. I'm on the Pereira side strictly for the price.
I completely agree with everything you said. And the one narrative aspect, the Pereira 40% thing, I agree with you. Bullshit. The other bullshit I see on Twitter and other people talking about, Pereira's got the Conor McGregor syndrome. He's living the good life now. He's not taking this shit seriously. Bullshit to that too. Okay? He wasn't at 40% his first fight. He lost. Nor does he have the Conor McGregor syndrome right now either. That's not a thing either. So can we just stop having narrative impact handicapping? Unless, of course, it agrees with us, in which case we should do it. I think this fight's going to look very, very, very similar to the first one. I think it's going to be close. I think Pereira's going to keep it standing a lot longer, if not the entire time, than people expect. But I do expect Pereira to do two things differently. I expect him to get his jab going earlier. It came on later in the first fight. I expect he found success with it in rounds 3, 4, 5 last time. Therefore, high-level kickboxer, fuck ton smarter than me, is going to do it earlier this fight. And I do expect him to have a lot more calf kicks. I think Pereira proved to himself that he can defensively wrestle Ankalaev, which is going to open up his kicking game a little bit more now. So sure, Ankh might get him down once or twice versus 0 of 12 last time, or 1 of 12, whatever it was. But I do think that opens up Pereira's offense a little bit more. So if Pereira, who proved to himself that I can now defend his best attribute and my worst, I can now be a little bit more free with what I do. And if Pereira gets anywhere near a flow state, you got a problem. At no point am I worried about Ankalaev winning this fight. Worst case scenario, you give me the guy whose left hook is nicknamed the Death Touch for 5 rounds to win it, but I think he can win a decision as well. Bottom line is I capped Ankalaev at a minus 150 to 170. He's way bigger than I thought he would be. I thought the first fight was closer than you did. That's where you and I disagree on the current odds. Maybe it's the tequila. Probably is. I like Pereira here. I like him a lot, but just a confident 1-unit play because Ankalaev is a fighter the public likes to fade, so you're never going to get an advantageous price fading him. So I don't think that Vegas is out here trying to get, because they want money on both sides, trying to get money on the Pereira side. They want money on the Ankh side. So it's just an easy 1-unit play, 1 for 2.3.
Yeah, that is the only cause for concern. I priced it at like a 220-ish. Knowing the fact that Vegas went a little heavier on the Ankalaev side is surprising, given the amount of public money that will inevitably be on Pereira. So if you like Pereira's side, I definitely would play it now before the fight night, because you just know the influx of people are going to be betting the Pereira side. But yeah, I'm a little surprised when you factor in what Vegas inevitably wants, that they priced it the way that it did.
All right, so recapping our best bets, we like under 2.5 in the Ramiz Vanderford fight. I could be talked into a couple more than 1 units on that. I could be talked into 2 units on that play at plus 110. You like Patchy by sub. I like him inside the distance. We can take a look at what the odds are and talk about unit management.
Plus 130.
Okay. Piper by sub, I'm in. I think that's a really clever play. And then I like Piper and Marab, and I like Patchy and Marab as parlays. And then finally, plus 230 on Powhatan to round out our card.
I like Piper and Marab. That's probably my favorite play on the board.
All right, so we're going to play. Let's just go with X for 2 units on the under 2.5 for Ramiz Vanderford, because depending what your plus money is. 1 unit on Patchy inside the distance. 1 unit on Piper by sub, because fuck a half a unit. What are you doing with a half a unit besides wiping your ass with it? Piper and Marab, what do you want on that?
I think 3 or 4.
Let's go 3 units. And then Patchy and Marab, 1 unit, 1.5, 1 unit, AP unit. Yeah. All right. Follow us on Bet Online or BetMMA.tips. We haven't posted in a while. Follow us on X. We haven't posted in a while. Can't promise I'll be active, but I can promise I'll be gambling. Anything for the people before we end?
I'm not happy Rams just fumbled the ball, but you know what? Maybe this is a tide of turning. I'm fine throwing away some NFL stuff in favor of the UFC stuff. You're welcome, 10 viewers. I like the vibes of this fight. I think the main card, typically, we like the early stuff from a betting standpoint. I like the fact that the main card, we have a lot of confident bets on the main card here. Should be a very, very good fight night.
I will say, I bet the Tigers today, and I bet the Cubs. I heard about Kalshi or whatever that website is. I wanted to test it out, so I put some money in there just to see what it is. Bet the Tigers, and I bet the Cubs.
I like the Tigers, I like the Cubs, and I did do the Red Sox tonight, so we'll see. I haven't checked the score of the game yet, so we'll see.
0-0 last I checked.
I like
it. That's enough baseball talk. We're here for UFC 320. Welcome back. It's good to be back. For the 6 of you, Dad, Austin, and the other 4, welcome home. PTL is back. And